but nobody has no place to go. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Welcome to the party, pal!
Hello friends, my name is Stevie Cade and welcome to Film Trigger. I know I made an announcement that I was taking a break for the rest of the year, but I did say I might do a special thing for Christmas, and I happen to have enough time to do that one special thing for Christmas, and that's to talk about the Christmas movie, Die Hard. That's right, in the Cade house, Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Now please, listen very carefully. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
What you talking about, Willis?
No matter what Bruce Willis says, this is a Christmas movie in the Cade house.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Sweater or no sweater, my excitement is still amped up to 11 for this movie. But before we dive deep into what I do like about this film, if you could, hit that like, thumbs up button, that subscribe button, and the little bell ding thing so you get notified every time I upload a new video. So without further ado, let's dive into my review for Die Hard.
Bruce Willis, Die Hard.
Got invited to the Christmas party by mistake. Who knew?
I love this movie. It's not my favorite Christmas movie, and I completely get the debate of if it is or isn't a Christmas movie, and ultimately I think that really goes on to you. It's all subjective. Do you watch this movie only during Christmas time, or do you watch it any other time of the year? Because it can be watched anytime. It's that good of a movie. It could be a Christmas movie and a not Christmas movie. It's that fucking good. But as I said, we'll dive a little bit more into the science of if this is a Christmas movie or not after I do my grading. But for now, let's jump into what I do like about this film. This movie is perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Thanos would be proud. Everything that gets set up actually gets paid off by the end of the movie. Even tiny little details, like the guy on the plane telling John McClane to take his shoes off. It will help cure him of some of the jet lag that he has.
After you get where you're going, take off your shoes and your socks. Then you walk around on the rug barefoot and make fists with your toes.
Fist with your toes.
And fuck that guy, by the way, because he is fully responsible of why John McClane's not wearing shoes through most of this movie. Then you have the watch that Holly gets from her work, which is a very minute little blip in this movie, and it pays off at the most climatic part of this film when Hans Gruber is hanging on by that watch and they have to unclasp it. This movie has a galaxy of blink and you'll miss it payoff moments like that. And another way that this movie is very well balanced is in its comedy and action, because at its heart and soul, this is an action movie. But the jokes and bits aren't forced. They are perfectly woven into the action and tension that this movie has, which it has a lot of. It was actually written as a sequel to a movie called The Detective, which starred Frank Sinatra. And legally, he had to be asked to reprise his role. But when he declined, they essentially just took that script, changed some of the names and some of the concept a little bit, and came out with a new original story that is Die Hard. But yes, at its core, this movie was made to be an action film. And the action is fantastic. Everything from being stuck in an elevator shaft to jumping off an exploding building while a helicopter is being taken down. And it looks good doing it because the visual effects in this film are stellar and they're all practical, which makes it even better, in my opinion, because this movie doesn't rely on CGI for its effects. It couldn't, because it was made in '88 and CGI was shit back then. And thank God they didn't try to do that. And there are plenty of tension-filled and uncomfortable moments in this movie. Anyone who's ever cut their foot knows what I'm talking about. A good quarter of this movie, you're like, how can he do that? But even character-driven tension plays very well in this movie. And that's gonna bring me to the cast and characters, which I think, honestly, just an umbrella statement here. Almost every single character in this movie is wonderful and perfectly cast. And I say almost because there are two characters that we'll talk about a little later, but besides those characters, everyone just really flows into the narrative of the story pretty well. They're well placed, they contribute to the story in some sort of way, shape, or form, and all the actors playing these characters really seem to have a chemistry together, especially when it comes to John McClane and Sergeant Powell. These two have such a bromance and great chemistry with each other, which is amazing considering that they don't actually shoot a scene together until the very last moment of the movie. They do have a wonderful camaraderie, which plays into them being both cops and them also being kind of the outliers. They really connect in that sort of way, and that camaraderie is what really carries this film through and saves everybody in the end.
I had an accident.
Run over your cabin, flip with the car.
I shot a kid.
And the same can't be said for the bad guys. They try to have this camaraderie, but at the same time, they lie to each other. They don't listen to orders. They do things having their own agenda. Let it be to get revenge on a John McClane, this, that, or the other. They just don't have the same heart and love that McClane and Powell do. You know, you got to have that trust. You got to have that build. And McClane and Powell definitely have that, while the bad guys, not so much. But speaking of the bad guys, you have the baddiest of the bad, the best, Alan Rickman in his movie debut, who managed to pull off one of the best, if not the best, villain performances of all time. Don't think I'm right? Fight me in the comments below. Thanks. The Alan Rickman's natural monotone voice, coupled with his resting bitch face that he has in this movie, tells you that he has no fucks to give. Plus, the character of Hans Gruber was actually just really well written. The guy is always one step ahead of anybody else, also while utilizing basic police and FBI protocols to actually play into moving his master plan forward. He's a very smart villain that brings class and suave to the movie, but he does so in a very villainous way, in a way that only Alan Rickman could really do.
Of you relax, this is a matter of inconvenient timing, that's all. Police action was inevitable. Let them fumble about outside and stay calm. This is simply the beginning.
And another character I'm going to talk about here is a character that everybody loves to hate, and that is Harry Ellis. I just love that this character exists. He doesn't need to be in the movie, but he's totally there just to represent the cocky, overly confident assholes that we've all worked with before. And it is so satisfying to watch this pompous, ladder-climbing doofus who's hopped up on booger sugar get what he deserves. Although he is an asshole and deserves to die, and we all enjoy watching him die, at the same time, you gotta give credit where credit is due. He did try to have a redemption story. He tried to do what he thought was the right thing and try to negotiate with the terrorists using business tactics. And he ultimately had their attention there for a little bit. I mean, they poured him a nice glass of Coke, and I'm sure that's not what he meant when he asked for Coke. Probably not. And he also didn't give up that Holly was John's wife. So there is a slight redemption that he did try to do the right thing. But, yeah, and he still got what he deserved, and it was very, very satisfying.
In a hostile takeover, you grab us for some green mail, but you didn't expect some poison pill was going to be running around in the building. Am I right? Hans, Bobby, I'm your white knight.
So thank you, Harry Ellis, for your services. You will not be remembered. Fondly. Bruce Willis as John McClane. This is the most relatable protagonist in any movie ever written, ever in life, that will ever be. He's the everyman. He's not like superhuman, even though he survives like 80 million things that he should have died from in this film. But he doesn't look superhuman, specifically in this era of action films that was being ran by Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone, two people that I never, ever in my life could relate to on film because they're just so jacked. But Bruce Willis showed us you don't need to be jacked to be the hero. You just got to be a little grumpy. He's just a man trying to get his family together for Christmas. That's all. He's just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But also he's funny in a very fuck you sort of way. He's constantly talking to himself, and like even that's relatable and funny because who hasn't like talked to themselves in this sort of way? You know, you put yourself in a position, you're like, God, how did I get myself here? It's fun to watch this character do the same thing. That's what makes him so relatable. One of the many things that makes him so relatable.
Oh, John, what the fuck are you doing? How the fuck did you get into this shit?
Plus his smart-ass comments and his passive-aggressive quips that gives us one of the best and most quotable movie moments ever.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
This character was written so relatable and performed with such honesty that it's still relatable 35 years later. As a matter of fact, this whole movie still holds up 35 years later. At least right now, there should not be a reboot of Die Hard at all, just because the first one still holds up. Like, honestly, if you were to make Die Hard right now, there'd be a couple more cell phones and the touchscreen technology would be a lot better. That's about it. Even though I do love this movie and consider it to be damn near perfect, there are a few things I am on the fence about when it comes to this film. As we spoke before, there are quite a few characters in this movie, and most of them absolutely work. They fit into the story very well. They have a point that falls into the narrative of the story, and I think that's all great. But there's two characters in this movie that we could have done without, and that was the two FBI agents, Johnson and Johnson.
I'm Agent Johnson. This is Special Agent Johnson.
Oh, how you doing?
No relation.
I'm Dwayne Robinson, LAPD. I'm in charge here.
Not anymore.
I get the joke. It's a funny joke. It's not a bad bit, but the characters themselves are ultimately pointless. The whole point of them being there and whatever they accomplish in this film honestly could have fallen on the shoulders of the deputy played by Paul Gleason. Their only point in the movie is to show that the cops and the FBI keep messing things up, which leaves John McClane and Sergeant Powell truly alone when it comes to saving the hostages and this entire situation. Another thing I'm on the fence about is Argyle. Now, I love Argyle. I love the character Argyle. I thought he was a lot of fun, but ultimately he didn't do much. I wish there was more for him to do. I would have liked to have seen him actually go ahead and investigate things and kind of piece things together himself more so than he did. But we spent a lot more time with him just being on the phone with his girlfriend, talking shit about his boss, which is fun, but I wish he had more stakes in this movie. Now moving right along with what I don't like about this film. And I ain't got anything. I got nothing that I don't like, but I do have two petty points. Now, for those who don't watch my channel, my petty points are something that I don't really critique the movie over. It's just some things I notice about the movie that kind of bother me a little bit, but don't really take me out of the film. It's, where did this van come from? You see it pull out of that truck, right? But that truck has been in the garage since the beginning of the movie. And in the beginning of the movie, they open up the back of that truck. The only thing that comes out are the bad guys. The van's nowhere to be seen. It's obviously a movie mistake that they left in the film, and it falls directly into my petty point realm. So I just had to point that out. I do notice that van just comes out of fucking nowhere. Overall, Die Hard is a Christmas movie, no matter what you say, Bruce Willis. This is a fun, action-packed, tension-filled comedy with just a dash of buddy cop. And it hits on so many beats perfectly. It's well balanced, it's well paced, and the main protagonist is relatable to like 90% of dudes out there. And I would consider Die Hard to be one of the most perfect movies. And for all these reasons, I'm giving this film an A+.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it was great.
There you have it, guys. There's my Christmas Day review for Die Hard. Now, does Die Hard fall as a Christmas movie in your home as it does mine? If not, let me know in the comments below. But I do have some scientific data to prove that this is kind of a Christmas movie. Now, I will be honest with you here. I didn't research this myself. There's actually a YouTube video by Fandom Entertainment that actually breaks down all the science behind this. I'll give you a little snippet of their findings. I will leave a link to that video in the description below so you can research the science yourself and come to your own conclusion. But according to Fandom Entertainment, when it comes to visual and audio cues of Christmas and like Christmas themed things, Die Hard does it way more than actual Christmas movies. Like, for example, Christmas trees that show up in this movie, there's 19 of them. In the movie Miracle on 34th Street, 1. It's hard to believe, isn't it? Christmas decor like snowmen or reindeer, there's 15 references in Die Hard. Miracle on 34th Street, 3. Christmas carols being sung in Die Hard, there's 12. 17 if you include Ode to Joy. Miracle on 34th Street, 4. The use of the actual word Christmas is used 13 times in Die Hard, only 8 times in Miracle on 34th Street. The point is, overall, Die Hard does reference Christmas way more than like the most Christmas movie out there. Again, I'll leave the link to that full video in the description below. Honestly, guys, Die Hard being a Christmas movie or not being a Christmas movie is subjective. It's up to you. It's up to me. However you take it. It's actually quite a fun argument to have every year. And I totally get it. If you say Die Hard's a Christmas movie, well then all of a sudden Lethal Weapon's a Christmas movie. And then Batman Returns is a Christmas movie. I get it's a slippery slope, but for all intents and purposes, I think Die Hard really went the extra mile just to make Christmas a huge part of it, even though it's not the main focus. Let me know your thoughts of all this in the comments below. Also, be sure to check out some more of my videos, and as always, yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers.
Come out to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs.